You think I'm talking about breaking the law?
No, I'm just trying to figure out how far you want it bent.
As far as you can without breaking it.
In other words, don't risk an IRS audit.
I don't give a damn about an audit. They just better not win.
Shocking news. Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, were found dead at their home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. A mysterious ending for a man who was once a Hollywood icon, but chose to disappear entirely from the spotlight. Police confirmed there were no signs of foul play, but the question remains, what really happened? Gene Hackman was not just a two-time Academy Award-winning actor, he was a man with a past full of hidden struggles. He was once jailed for theft, mocked as someone with no chance of making it, and was known for his confrontational nature, never shying away from using his fists to settle matters. He didn't walk away from Hollywood because his fame had faded, but for something much bigger. Is this truly the final chapter, or just another mystery in the life of Gene Hackman? Let's find out. When Gene Hackman decided to pursue his dream of acting, he wasn't just betting on his career. He was unknowingly sacrificing the most important things in his life and making mistakes that were almost inevitable. In 1956, Hackman married Faye Maltese, a woman he once believed would be his rock as he struggled to find his place in the film industry. At the time, Hackman was still an unknown actor, taking on various odd jobs just to survive. In the early years of their marriage, they lived a simple but happy life. Faye believed in her husband, despite others insisting that he would never make it. Together, they built a home and had 3 children, Christopher Allen, Elizabeth Jean, and Leslie Ann. But as fate often dictates in Hollywood, love and success rarely go hand in hand. Hackman's career took off in the late 1960s with Bonnie and Clyde, 1967, and by the 1970s, he had officially become one of the industry's biggest stars with blockbuster films such as The French Connection, 1971, and The Poseidon Adventure, 1972. However, as Hollywood's spotlight shone brighter on Hackman, darkness loomed over his family life. Consumed by his work, Hackman moved from one film to another, traveling from city to city. Faye and the children gradually became strangers in his life. The calls home became fewer and farther between, and his presence at family dinners turned into a rare luxury. In a 1989 interview with the New York Times, Hackman admitted, "You become extremely selfish as an actor. You spend your whole life craving recognition, and when success comes, it's hard to say no. The money, the fame, the temptations, it was all too overwhelming for a poor kid like me." Faye Maltese waited patiently, but in the end, the distance between them had grown into an unbridgeable chasm. In 1986, after 30 years of marriage, they officially divorced. Hackman's first marriage ended quietly. No fights, no legal battles. Only the regret of a man who realized too late what he had lost. In an interview with GQ, when asked what advice he had for his son, Hackman bitterly admitted, "I was away for too long. I don't have any advice to give." Was this the result of poor choices or the inevitable consequence of the relentless pressure to prove oneself? Either way, sacrificing family happiness for success came at an unbearable cost, and he learned that lesson the hard way. After divorcing Faye Maltese in 1986, Hackman continued his career, taking on major roles and remaining one of Hollywood's top actors. But behind that success, he no longer had a family by his side. For years, Hackman lived alone, until he met Betsy Arakawa, a woman who would change his life. Betsy was 32 years younger than Hackman, a pianist with no connection to the Hollywood world. They met in the late 1980s at a gym where Betsy worked. There was no spectacle, no rush. Their relationship developed naturally. Betsy brought Hackman the peace he had never known before. In 1991, Hackman and Betsy got married. This time, he no longer wanted a family life overshadowed by his career. They decided to live a quiet life, away from Hollywood and the media. Before finding peace, Fate had destined Gene Hackman to endure many life-altering tragedies, memories he would rather forget. One of the earliest shocks in his life was the tragic death of his mother in 1962. Anna Lyda Elizabeth Hackman passed away in a house fire. According to reports, she had been drinking heavily, fell asleep with a lit cigarette in hand, and the flames quickly consumed the house. For Hackman, it wasn't just the loss of a loved one, it was an unbearable regret. His mother had been the only one who truly believed he could become an actor. But by the time Hackman had begun making a name for himself on screen, she was no longer there to witness it. He rarely spoke publicly about this tragedy, but in a rare interview, he admitted that if he could choose one film for his mother to watch, it would be I Never Sang for My Father, as it mirrored his own life story. But the pain didn't stop there. In 1982, Hackman suffered another devastating blow when his closest friend, Norman Gary, passed away unexpectedly. Gary was a well-known entertainment lawyer and one of Hackman's most trusted confidants. His sudden death sparked speculation about unresolved financial troubles, leaving Hackman with more questions than answers. To escape the grief, Hackman buried himself in work, taking on role after role, immersing himself in acting as a way to numb the pain. In a later interview, he admitted that he had poured all his energy into acting simply because he didn't want to drown in sorrow. That period saw him take on some of the most defining roles of his career, including Under Fire, 1983, Hoosiers, 1986, and Mississippi Burning, 1988, films that solidified his place among Hollywood's elite. But Hackman didn't just endure emotional losses. He also had his share of real-life confrontations with danger. One of the most unforgettable incidents occurred in 2001 when he got into a street brawl in Hollywood. While driving, Hackman accidentally collided with another car. Two young men stepped out, visibly furious. Instead of handling the situation calmly, they hurled insults at Hackman, unaware that they were provoking a former Marine. At 71, Hackman was not one to be intimidated. Without much exchange of words, he threw the first punch. The three of them lunged at each other, creating chaos in the middle of the street. Police quickly arrived to break up the fight, but no one was arrested. The incident once again proved that despite leaving behind his action-packed roles, Hackman had never lost his fighting spirit. However, perhaps the closest brush with death came in 2012. While cycling on a Florida road without a helmet, Hackman was suddenly struck by a truck. News of the accident spread quickly, sparking fears among fans that he might have been seriously injured, or worse. But somehow, Hackman survived. He sustained only minor injuries and was discharged from the hospital the same day. Those close to him revealed that despite his age, he never gave up cycling. But from that day forward, he never went out without a helmet. Rewind to 2004. After completing the comedy Welcome to Mooseport, Gene Hackman suddenly withdrew from Hollywood. There was no official announcement, no farewell press conference, no grand send-off film like other legends. He simply vanished from the screen. At the time, many believed Hackman was just taking a break, but in reality, that was the last time he would appear in a commercial film. Questions began to arise. Why would an actor still at the top of his game, still capable of commanding the screen, suddenly disappear? Was it because Welcome to Mooseport was a box office disaster, earning only $14 million against its $30 million budget? Was it because he no longer found scripts compelling enough? Or was he simply exhausted by the glitz and chaos of Hollywood? The real reason was far more complex. In truth, Hackman had begun to realize that his health was no longer what it used to be. Back in 1990, he had been rushed to the hospital due to a severe arterial blockage. Doctors discovered that his heart condition was critical and immediately performed an angioplasty to save his life. Had he arrived at the hospital just a few hours later, he might not have survived. After the surgery, Hackman was forced to make lifestyle changes, but he continued acting for over a decade. By the early 2000s, his health issues resurfaced. He started feeling exhausted during film shoots. The long working hours, the pressure of intense scenes, the constant traveling, it all became too much. In an interview with Empire magazine, Hackman admitted that he no longer had the energy to continue acting. He also revealed that his doctors had advised him to avoid unnecessary stress, including the demands of a film career. And for Hackman, if he couldn't give something his full 100%, he would rather not do it at all. But health wasn't the only reason. Hackman had never been fond of Hollywood's noise and spectacle. He had always been candid about his dislike for how the industry operated. He hated awards ceremonies, disliked having to feign friendliness in interviews, and had no interest in living under constant public scrutiny. "I trained to be an actor, not to be a star," he once said. To him, Hollywood was a relentless machine, and after more than 40 years in the industry, he felt he had given enough. So, he chose to walk away from it all. No fanfare, no goodbyes. He stopped appearing on red carpets, avoided all film-related events, and turned down every acting offer that came his way. Directors continued to approach him, hoping for a comeback, but Hackman declined them all. In a rare public appearance in 2008, when asked if he would ever return to acting, he gave a simple answer: no. He joked that if there were ever a truly great script, he might consider it, on the condition that it was filmed inside his house so he wouldn't have to go anywhere. Beyond his illustrious film career, Gene Hackman always had personal passions to balance his life. After stepping away from Hollywood, he didn't spend his time at lavish parties or entertainment events. Instead, he focused on writing, painting, and personal hobbies that brought him peace. Gene Hackman turned to writing, a passion he pursued with the same seriousness he once gave to acting. He published 5 novels, mostly historical fiction and crime thrillers, including Justice for None, 2004, and Pursuit, 2013. Writing not only allowed him to maintain his creativity, but also gave him a way to stay out of the public eye. Although he had retired from acting, Hackman still contributed in other ways. In 2016 and 2017, he lent his voice to 2 documentary films about the U.S. Marine Corps, the military unit he had once served in. For him, this wasn't just a job, it was a way to pay tribute to his past. Even after leaving Hollywood, Hackman remained connected to the significant chapters of his life. Hackman also dedicated time to painting, a hobby he had never publicly showcased. He painted purely for himself, never exhibiting or selling his works. "I don't want anyone to see my paintings. It's private," he once said. For him, painting was a way to find tranquility, far removed from the chaotic rhythm of Hollywood. Famous for portraying tough men on screen, few people knew that Hackman was also a professional race car driver. He competed in Sports Car Club of America races in the late 1970s and even won the Long Beach Grand Prix Celebrity Race. His greatest thrill came in 1983 when he participated in the prestigious 24 Hours of Daytona, driving a Toyota for Dan Gurney's legendary racing team. One particularly memorable event occurred when Hackman competed in a 6-hour endurance race at Sears Point Raceway in California. He drove an Audi Quattro, one of the most advanced race cars of its time. However, disaster struck when his brakes locked up, causing his car to flip, forcing him to withdraw from the race. Though he wasn't injured, he later joked that perhaps he should have let a stunt double take his place instead. However, speed isn't something one can chase forever. As he aged, Hackman began to realize that his reflexes were slowing down. "You need quick reflexes, and when they start to fade, you have to stop," he admitted. For health reasons, he decided to retire from racing entirely, shifting his focus to safer hobbies like painting and cycling. After leaving the fast-paced world of racing, Hackman no longer sought flashy sports cars. Instead, he embraced more practical vehicles. He was often seen driving a Toyota Tundra around Santa Fe, a powerful yet modest pickup truck that fit his down-to-earth lifestyle. Despite his age, Hackman continued cycling long distances, a habit that helped him stay in shape. Even in his 90s, he still used an electric bike to get around, proving that his energetic spirit had never faded. Though he had left professional racing behind, Hackman never lost his love for automobiles. In the past, he owned a 1983 Toyota Celica GT, the car he used in competitive racing. But as he transitioned to a quieter life, his car collection reflected this change. He no longer sought extravagant supercars, but instead chose durable, practical models that still carried a distinct personality, including Porsche Panamera, a luxury sedan with strong performance, reflecting his refined taste. Mercedes E-Class, a comfortable yet understated choice for those who appreciate elegance without excess. Ford Mustang Shelby, a symbol of raw American muscle, proving his passion for performance cars hadn't completely disappeared. Tesla Model S, a modern choice that showcased his interest in technology and the rise of electric vehicles. Though his life had slowed down, Hackman never lost his spirit of adventure. He had simply found a new way to embrace it. Beyond his love for cars, Hackman was also a devoted fan of American football. He had a deep admiration for the Jacksonville Jaguars and was often spotted at the stadium as an honorary guest. Though he no longer appeared on screen, he still made time for the things that brought him joy. Gene Hackman rarely made public appearances, but whenever he did, he drew attention. In Santa Fe, New Mexico, where he and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, had lived for years, locals occasionally spotted the Hollywood legend filling up his car at a gas station. No bodyguards, no swarming paparazzi, just Hackman, dressed casually, enjoying a normal life like anyone else. What intrigued people even more was the car he was driving, a third-generation Toyota Tundra. Not a flashy supercar or a luxury vehicle typical of Hollywood stars, but a durable, powerful, and practical pickup truck. His Tundra was equipped with a 5.7-liter V8 engine producing 375 horsepower, along with a TRD 4x4 off-road package, making it capable of handling any terrain. The truck also featured privacy glass, Bilstein shock absorbers, and an ARE truck bed cover, all designed for a comfortable yet low-profile lifestyle. This choice spoke volumes about Hackman. While many wealthy actors owned Bentleys, Rolls-Royces, or Lamborghinis, he stuck with a straightforward, functional vehicle. It perfectly reflected who he was: practical, unpretentious, and indifferent to attention. Hackman had never chased the glamour of Hollywood, and even in retirement he remained true to himself. A legend who chose to live humbly, yet with undeniable strength. Gene Hackman was more than just a great actor. He was a man of contradictions, yet sharp in every detail. He could be tough, unafraid to clash with directors, or even throw punches in real life. But he could also vanish from Hollywood without a single explanation. He never sought fame, never tried to please anyone but himself. A rebel in his career, a legend who left on his own terms. That was his character, his style, something not everyone could achieve. Gene Hackman was not just an exceptional actor, he was the embodiment of resilience and an unyielding spirit. Despite being doubted and looked down upon in his youth, he rose to become one of Hollywood's greatest legends. Hackman proved that success isn't about luck, it's about perseverance and believing in yourself. While many Hollywood stars continued to chase the spotlight, Hackman chose a different path, a simple, peaceful life with his wife in Santa Fe, far from the need for attention or validation from the world. His legacy isn't just in his iconic roles like Popeye Doyle or Lex Luthor, but also in the way he lived, a man who never compromised with the limits others tried to impose on him. And though the news of his and Betsy's passing has shocked the world, Gene Hackman's legacy lives on. His performances, his life story, and the man behind the legend will forever remain in the hearts of his fans. So what about you? How do you remember Gene Hackman? Through his legendary roles, his unforgettable quotes, or simply the way he lived life on his own terms? If you admire Gene Hackman, leave a comment with R.I.P. Gene Hackman, to join us in honoring a true Hollywood legend, a man who made the industry respect and love him. For a deeper look into Gene Hackman's life and career, check out the video on your screen. Watch it now to discover the full story. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you never miss out on the untold stories of the legends you love.